with the internet and the way that people are consuming at such a vast and rapid rate, it's important to kind of not miss a trick with one of the revenue streams, and merch being such a huge revenue stream in the music industry. So one of the first points I want to make about maximising within merch is ensuring that your artist, band or even record label have a very strong identity. So whether that's like a graphic image, logo, or a very strong identity in your person, I think people always attach to imagery very well, and you're always going to be able to build on that. So if you look back in history at kind of Metallica, Kiss, Iron Maiden, typically in their uses of logos and how their merchandise has kind of stood the test of time, and now we're seeing it kind of come full circle, and people are wearing rock shirts and merchandise without even knowing the band, you know. And I don't know if any of you here have got any objections to that, but if people are buying your t-shirts and not your music, they're still kind of engaging with you, and they are still kind of buying products that you are distributing. So again, I'd say the value of design is very high, and a lot of people, they just step over it, I think, when really launching an act or an artist. The logo isn't, of course it's not as important as the sonic, but in terms of revenue streams and how you can maximize merchandise, identity, all those things, they go hand in hand. So yeah, then beyond kind of logos and imagery, I like the idea of culture and how merchandise ties in with the musical aspect in culture and style. So culture, again, for me, is made up of style, music, identity, nightlife, outgoings, things like that. And if you can provide people with the music as well as a stylistic element of it, they will buy into that. So if they are a big fan of your music, they will kind of buy your merch if they feel part of it, part of the visual identity as well as kind of the sonic cultural aspect, the landscape there. So yeah, then going on to kind of how in different ways we can maximize merchandise in particular, whether it's kind of you getting a bulk order to take on tour, you're doing your t-shirts, your typical things of, t-shirts, jumpers, you've got your CDs, runs like that. But with how kind of 2016, 17 has set up, there's an influx of kind of print by order services that I'm sure a lot of you have seen coming about. So what you can do is, without naming names, you can reach out to a production company that will print by order, as simple as it is. Set you up a store, have all of your merchandise on there so that you're not kind of stuck with piles and piles of t-shirts, basically. And then, they will print by order. They can screen print, digital print, vinyl print, whatever, embroider if you want. And of course, you can kind of build that relationship with the manufacturer as that grows. You know, you can see your orders. You can then place orders off the back of the print by order service and take them on tour with you if you are needing to actually have stock with you. But you'll be able to gauge from the back end with print by order in terms of what your most successful products are, what is more risky than others, what is, for example. Then beyond the kind of your own merch, independently retailing, there's the trend that is huge in music at the moment within brand partnerships, and how a strong identity visually can open opportunities for major brands to kind of partner with you and look at ways that they can further expose what they're doing. So by you attaching yourself to culture, having a strong identity, a brand will want to partner with you and engage. And whether it's, again, going back to the point of Metallica, just their very strong logo, like you can see that used everywhere. You can see it appropriated by people like Justin Bieber just to have a feeling of culture and identity. But Metallica, just through their logo, no sonics whatsoever, would partner with someone like Budweiser. So Budweiser know the strength of the Metallica brand. They're going to get an audience that are engaged. Iron Maiden as well, like you see a kind of trend between the rock bands. It's the rock t-shirts, of course, we all know the success of that, but beer and different products is very much new and is there's a lot more opportunity to work with different products, not just the typical T-shirts and things like that. So Iron Maiden and Metallica have had great success with the beers. I think Iron Maiden, when they played Glastonbury, they made a deal with Glastonbury on the Trooper beer, which is like the Iron Maiden branded beer, same logo, everything, and it was the top-selling beer at Glastonbury that weekend. So that is a big deal in my opinion. So yeah, then just more examples of how you can kind of transcend music via merch and how limitless it is really. So Beyonce, we all know her for her music. She's not particularly well known for her merchandise, but I'm sure it sells very well. Aside of her own Beyonce merchandise, she's now partnered with Philip Green at Topshop and has done the Ivy Park line. So that's almost transcended music into fashion, but is culturally relevant to everything Beyonce will be doing, music videos, dance, activities, fitness, all of that kind of stuff, and has opened up a new revenue stream within merchandise arguably, but she still has her Beyonce merchandise that is selling on the store. So through her kind of solidifying that identity, that cultural influence, she can kind of transcend music but still be relevant within it all. Again, another example of that is like Kanye West and how he's used merchandise to really gauge culture and do pop-up shops all around the world, really kind of playing on the idea of supply and demand. There's very limited supply of merchandise that pop up around the world in these different spaces, but the demand is huge. So every time he does a pop-up store, there'll be thousands of kids queuing up outside. The resale value of the merch is huge. So that in itself is, he's immersed himself in the streetwear reselling culture at the same time as promoting his record, which is great in my opinion. Again, U2, Apple, that they were very lucky, and I think they were quite forward thinking in the things that they do, in that the Apple Red iPod at the time is again solidified something for them. That Apple partnership is very rare, not many people can get it. Of course with Apple Music and things like that now there is more opportunities, but U2 actually did the Red iPod, which I think is great, and I would love one of those. Again, there's people who have more success in a commercial world than they do in the musical world. So there's a lot of artists who, purely based on their identity, their visual, where they come from, can sell more product than music. And I think Rita Ora is a great example of someone who sells a lot of product, whether it be lipstick, lingerie. She does her collaboration with Adidas, which I think is on its like 7th or 8th line now, but I don't think she's got an album. So there's, again, it doesn't always have to be music first and merch second. If you've built a brand and you've built an identity that people can attach to, they know comes from somewhere and they believe in it. And then, even beyond the kind of typical aspects of merch, you have people like Snoop Dogg as well, we all know what Snoop Dogg does, right? Everyone knows that Snoop Dogg likes to smoke. He's going to sell less and less records with his age. I think he's 50 odd now. So he's doing more podcasts and things like that. But his merchandise with his rolling papers, his vape pens, all things like that are sustaining him, you know. So his revenue streams are constant incoming. A really good example in your own time, if you want to check out a really good way to a real kind of broad spectrum of merch, is Daft Punk. Not only the merch that they have, but the way that they advertise it. They build very like 70s style posters for each of their product. So it does feel very culturally relevant, even though it is a brand new product. They sell things from Christmas baubles to skateboards to towels, posters. I think there's a crowbar that they sell. So it's very limitless. And if you can attach yourself to a culture and there's cultural activity that requires product, you can sell that product to your audience. Yeah? Does that make sense? Cool. I think we've got a couple minutes for questions. Yeah. So if anyone's got any questions, please just fire away. Yeah, I mean, user experience is always for me, when building a website, user experience first and foremost, an easy checkout and things like that. So that's one thing I would suggest. If you were to work with a print by order person, I would suggest that the website, the shopping experience is like very user friendly. So it's not all about the prices, the unit cost for your end. It's also about how people are going to consume their end. And then there's ways to kind of point people to your merch and your product via product placement in your music videos. Of course, you could be wearing them at shows. You'll have them at shows. You'll maybe put your social media stuff, like you'll feature it in there. Facebook ads is another great way at the moment, independently without PR, to just kind of push a product online. There's a great thing that Facebook do now, if the store supports it, where you can almost buy direct from Facebook. So as you're scrolling down your timeline, there'll be like a row of t-shirts along, and you can like swipe left or right. So some print by order places do kind of support full Facebook integration, and that is a great way. For me, social media is like, yeah, that's your platform, that's your launch pad for your independent band especially. One of the acts that I manage, very early on, as more of a PR move, we partnered with a brewer. It's very cheap. Well, they were doing the bottles and stuff anyway. We just worked on some labels. So we got 20 green bottles done. The EP was called Sober. And then we provided a bottle opener which had the USB stick attached. So we deliver to all the PR a USB stick with the music, and then you can listen to the music while you have your drink. So the music was about Ellie drinking, going out with her friends, the hangover experience. So you felt you were part of their lifestyle. It was more than just a sonic experience. You brought it into the physical world. That's one example. Again, it depends. I would always try and tailor it to your act. So it depends. If your act comes from a ballet background or something, you could do a run of tutus, or you could partner with a ballet company or something like that. I think you've always got to look at the individual and try and craft it to them, and you're always going to have more success. That's just my opinion. All right, that's all for me, guys. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.